Hello, folks. We got some crappy camera audio for you today. Yeah, Ricky wants to give you a tour of his studio, but it's not practical to record with the lapel mic. Jeez. So, anyway, it is what it is, but he's got a lot of cool stuff that he wants to brag about. So, yeah, stay tuned.
Okay, so it is August 2021, and I thought it was time to do another tour of my setup here at home, which I use for recording, mixing, creating music, and creating YouTube content, and also writing for the website budgetguitarist.com. So this space that I have here is basically supposed to be a master bedroom, but it's a music studio essentially. I've got this new couch here, which is actually a pull-out bed, and I've got my mics over there spread out so that you can see them when we talk about the mics. Then in the corner back there is all my guitars, almost all of them, my keyboards. This is sort of like the view for the videos, you know. I've got a new rug that I'm sitting on. We just put in wood floors. Over here, there's my amp. That's a door-to-wood bathroom. And then over here, we've got the TV, entertainment center, etc. So let me set things up so that I can go through this part by part. Okay, I do not have a big mic collection. As a matter of fact, it's the same mics I had a year ago. There's one mic you're not seeing, which is my electret condenser that I use to film the videos. I pin it on my t-shirt. Aside from that, we've got the AKG K240s, which is good for acoustic guitars. You can use it as a vocal mic. It's not the best. The world famous Rode NT1A, which is in every project studio that's been created for the past 20 years. It's a $200 vocal mic, essentially. It does sound really good. This is my EV, I always forget the name. This is the ND767A. And Electro Voice does not make this mic anymore, which is stupid. The mic they replaced it with sounds half as good as this one. This is a great sounding mic for like live vocals. It's what I gig with, basically. Then I've got the Shure SM7B, which is really good for, you get up really close on the microphone and you say, in a world where, that stupid stuff. And then I've got my AKG K240s, which is good for vocals and it's good for acoustic guitar, any kind of instruments. And then last but not least, what I use on guitar cabinets, and this is my backup mic for live gigs. This is the Shure SM57. That's my mics. Let's go over to Guitar Corner. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 10 guitars in the stands over here, plus a banjo off to the side. So the 10 guitars left to right: Squier Jagmaster, Epiphone Les Paul, Jackson with a locking trem, Epiphone ES339, Fender Telecaster. Then over in the other rack, that's a Squier 3 Strat, a Made in Mexico Strat, Gibson Les Paul 70s Tribute, Epiphone Les Paul with the finish removed from the back of the neck, and the blue one is the PRS SE Custom 24, and then that's an Ibanez banjo. Hanging on the walls, I've got a Larrivee DO3 acoustic guitar. That's a Gibson Les Paul 50s Tribute. Then we've got a PRS S2 Satin 24 Satin, something like that. That's a generic mandolin. Behind the speaker is a Fender Strat. Did I mention the Ibanez banjo? I don't know. So over here in keyboard land, this is the 88 key Casio CDP 100. And this is a fairly inexpensive 88 key piano. I think The equivalent to this thing goes probably for about $400. And in terms of the feel of the keyboard, it is way better than any other MIDI controller you could buy for that kind of money. The catch is it doesn't have all the knobs and sliders and gizmos, which is why I got this thing. This is the Arturia Keylab 49 Essential, and it's got the plastic keys, but it's got the mod wheel, and it's got the pitch wheel, and the little touch pads, and all the knobs and gizmos. And the reason that you want all these knobs is when you're doing your analog synthesis and you want to like move the filters around in real time and change parameters. That's really cool for that. So my keyboard rig is it's relatively inexpensive, and it's kind of like the best of both worlds. Then down on the floor here, I've got the cool carpet, and I've got a plastic mat that my chair is sitting on. This is the same chair I had last year. I don't even know what the heck it is, but it works pretty well. It's not a $2,000 chair like some people have. Over here, hiding behind this speaker, I've got my Squier P bass, which is fretless because I removed the frets. Then I've got my Schecter Diamond Stiletto, which is a 4-string bass with active pickups. I've got my Fender bass breaker with the Keeley 4-knob compressor. And then down here is my orange 1x12 cabinet that's got a Celestion Vintage 30 in it, so V30. I have got tons and tons and tons of gear that's not in this room right now. And it used to be. And what I decided is just to remove everything from this room that I didn't need. So if I don't need it, it's gone. So I've got stuff scattered throughout the rest of the house. I've got 3 audio mixers on my desk. The little 2-channel Alesis mixer is just to boost the gain of my lapel microphone. Below that is the Yamaha MG12XU, which I use for monitoring everything. So the signals from the computer and from the HX Stomp and everything else goes into that. The gray fader controls the volume I'm sending to the big EV speakers. And the red fader controls the volume of my Alesis Monitor 1 speakers, which is powered by the Mackie FR800 stereo amp. The X-Touch mixer is a control surface, which I use to control Logic Pro. More about that later in this video. I'm using a wireless keyboard and a wireless Magic trackpad too, instead of a mouse, because you can do gestures like pinch and zoom and all that kind of stuff, which comes in really handy in Logic and Final Cut. I usually record guitars and bass through the Line 6 HX Stomp, but I also have the Helix native plugin, and of course I have a couple of tube amps that I like. My computer is a 2017 MacBook Pro with an i7 processor, 16 gig of RAM, and 512 gig SSD drive. I bought the MacBook Pro used, and I bought it about 3 years old. For a monitor, I'm using a Dell 4K 27-inch monitor, which I think cost me around $350. It was very reasonable. And I use a Furman power conditioner, and my audio interfaces are a Tascam US 16x8, which is 16 channels in, 8 out, and then a Focusrite 2i2, which gives me 2 channels in. The Focusrite is really good if I want to do any kind of remote, you know, like a voiceover somewhere, just take my laptop with a microphone and a guitar off someplace. Right, so basically my workflow is, if I'm mixing here, you're going to see like the back of my head, but with any good mixing setup, you want to make a triangle with your monitor speakers and yourself. So you want the distance here to here to be about the same as here to here. These speakers here, I wouldn't sit in this chair and mix them because they're aimed that way. These speakers here are more for like, if I want to crank it up a little bit and take a couple of steps back in the room, see what it sounds like. But it's really cool to be able to control the mix from here instead of having to constantly, you know, use the mouse and move the cursor around. So just to move around in the track, and I've got the track Dog of Thunder up currently, which was on my last album, Songs About Dogs. So here's the Alesis monitors. And then here's the big boys. Deep inside the dark of night, something out there's not. And then what's cool is because you've got a scrub wheel. So you can jump around within the song, or you can turn on scrub and actually go like beat by beat, event by event, which is cool. You can also use the function keys down here to control like what you see up here on the screen. So here's the view of the whole song, and then here's the view that shows the digital mixer. Right, so I can see what bank I'm controlling. So here's the master, for example. So if I pull it down here, you can also see that this slider is attached to it, so I'm moving both of them at the same time. So for $450, are the faders super smooth? But for $450, are you kidding? This kind of functionality back in the late 80s would have been six figures. I absolutely love it. Let's like solo the guitar track so you can hear that. Let's see. I've got scribble strips here so I can see. Here's guitars. Add the drums. Where's the drums? Bass. Vocals. Dog of Thunder, by the way, is a song about a dog who sees himself as the protector of the household. And his job is to take care of any enemies that might be approaching the house, whether it's a delivery person or a squirrel or whatever. So, anyway. And then when I want to play keys, you know, kind of spin my chair around and... like that. So there you go. This is sort of like a quickie, low-budget tour of my my home studio setup. Like I said, I also run Final Cut Pro on the computer here so that Tony can edit it, and that's what he does. And we try to crank out a video every week. We've been doing it for over a year. What I'm really excited about is at some point in time, my workbench in the garage is going to be finished, and that's where I work on guitars. So I've got my fretting arbor press out there. I've got all my power tools and all my guitar tools. So that's going to be like a second location that I can make videos from. That's going to be weeks in the making. That's going to take forever. But in the meantime, this here is the room that I spend most of my free time in. And yeah, it's cool, and I love it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again next Friday at 5.